As you can probably guess by the spread that you see before you, I went to a local rock show. The Paris Gem and Mineral Show was going on, and I decided to head down there and check it out and pick up a couple of things from my collection. So I'll kind of just start over here, actually. This is a person I've actually met before on a collecting trip, and I know her off of Instagram as well. And so I bought a couple agates off of her. The first one, this is a nice, lovely clear agate with some magnesium inclusions. It's a glacial tumbled agate from Manitoba, from Surrey, Manitoba, which is kind of why I bought it. It's kind of an interesting, unique low piece. And then the second agate I bought came from Carcross, Yukon, and it's a seam agate that has these lovely white plumes in it. And I picked up this piece because it has some good clear chalcedony in the middle that I think will fare well when polishing, and that'll help accent the white plumes on the outer edges. So I'm definitely planning on polishing up this guy once I have my lapidary equipment set up again after the renovations. But yeah, Eclectic Miner had some great material. I found these quite interesting. Do check her out on I believe Instagram, and then I believe she might have a YouTube channel as well. I don't know if she's posted recently, but I'll also, just in case, put a link in the description below. I don't know if she's planning on posting again anytime soon, but just in case, then you guys know where to find her. Up next, I'll do this lovely little cluster of fluorites. These are some nice toffee brown fluorites. I was hoping to find some bigger ones, but this was about as big as I could get for this color of fluorite. These are some toffee brown fluorites from the Lafarge quarry in Dundas, which is a quarry that's not open to collectors anymore. So these are quite a hot commodity. So I'm still going to be hunting for a larger one, but this was a pretty nice intact cluster of fluorites that'll make a good thumbnail specimen, and it'll display nicely in a little display box. Right beside it is another fluorite. This one I got there was a club auction for the Brantford club there, so they were doing some silent auctions, and this was one of the two things that I won in the silent auction. It's a nice, decent sized thumbnail specimen of fluorite. It's a singular cube, and it's actually covered in bitumen at the Dundas quarries. There was a decent amount of bitumen that could be found, so you could even find solid, kind of solidified chunks of it. From the same person who I bought the toffee brown cluster of fluorites, I bought this lovely slab of they're calling it Lake Superior seam agate. It comes from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Personally, I think I know Lake Superior agates. I believe their source is like the basalt, the vesicular basalt and stuff like that, or I guess it'd be amygdaloidal basalt. Whereas you can see this matrix is like a granite, a gneiss, probably. So I would actually call this, give it its own unique name from Lake Superior agate, in my opinion. I'd maybe call it Thunder Bay seam agate, or maybe like Lake Lace agate, because what it reminds me is a seam agate hybrid between Mexican lace agate, like crazy lace agate, and a Lake Superior agate, like a orangey Lake Superior agate. This side has some crystal pockets in it too, which is kind of cool. I picked this guy up along with this fluorite cluster from Rockhound Selective. And here is his contact info for those interested in getting in contact with him. I believe he also has a Instagram page, so I'll make sure to have that posted too. So for those interested, here's the info. I mentioned that there was a silent auction. Along with the fluorite that I already showed you, I actually picked up some Kona dolomite, which I've been looking to get my hands on. These are just a couple slabs. One face was polished. I'm going to repolish this one because you can see the cuts there still. But I've been meaning to pick up some of this material. Like you can see what this material looks like. It's some interesting, as I mentioned before, it's a dolomite. So I think it seems to take a polish pretty good. You might have to go a little deeper because it seems like the saw marks go in deep, but I've got a couple more slabs off to the side. I just thought I'd show you a couple slabs of this. Next, we have these 4 guys in the middle. I'll start with this diopside from the Dog Lake occurrence up in, I believe it's like the Frontenac County area of Ontario. This is a nice large diopside crystal from there. This occurrence is known for its diopsides, but as you can see, this has a secondary mineral growing in there, which is actually phlogopite mica, and it's like really well-formed phlogopite mica. Because I talked to the seller, I'm like, oh, do you know what these are? And he had a loop to look at them, and he's like, I thought it might be mica, but it doesn't look like mica. But looking at some of the information online, I did some digging and some research, and this site produces calcite, diopside, and then phlogopite mica, and there weren't any other minerals listed there, so I took a second look at some of them under a jewelry loop, and sure enough, there's just really well-formed, high-quality mica crystals, which is kind of cool, which is why I bought this, because he had a couple other, but they didn't have these little secondary hexagonal brown crystal inclusions, which I found was kind of unique. And for the price, I thought it was a good deal. Next, we have this goethite hematite specimen from the Steep Rock Iron Mine in Ontario. I bought this guy. It was a good price, and I just, the second I saw it, and I saw those kind of like botryoidal mammillary growths, I think it's called. I'll put the word below. I just kind of, like, when if you're a collector and you see a certain rock or mineral specimen and it just catches your eye and you're like, I want that. This was one of those specimens where I saw it and I was like, I like the look of that. I think that would look good in my display case. I'm gonna get that one. And yeah, it's quite a interesting piece with interesting little growths on the sides and stuff like that, and it'll be a nice little cat display piece for sure. Next, we're kind of going outside tradition. Usually nowadays I try and aim only to get Canadian minerals, and then sometimes I'll go to the States or Mexico, and this is a Mexican specimen. This is a Mexican Vesuvianite from Sierra de Cruz. I probably butchered that, and my dad will probably be very annoyed at me. He actually spent some time in Mexico, so he likes to be a little snooty with the pronunciations, but fair enough. If you don't pronounce them properly, there's nothing wrong with trying to tell somebody about the correct pronunciation. But I saw this lovely little QB crystal of Vesuvianite, and it was one of those ones where I was like, man, I want that. And the price was really good, so I decided I was going to get that. And finally, the last piece I got from the seller, for those who want to know, I don't have a business card. I forgot to ask them for one, but they do keep their information at the bottom of their cards that they give you. So here is the information for those interested in getting in contact with Bob. He runs a great company for those who are interested in Canadian minerals specifically. He's very Canadian minerals centric, so I would definitely say check out his the stuff he sells, because he has some phenomenal stuff, and some of the stuff he definitely sells at a very fair price. And one of those pieces was this lovely piece of Nova Scotia chabasite. I've been looking to get a nice cabinet piece of chabasite, and my main goal was to get one that had kind of like the nice orange, but with like the hints of yellow and kind of like slight gemminess and clearness on it, because chabasite can be just kind of like the singular colors and then kind of cloudy, and I kind of wanted them slightly clear and like kind of the orange and the yellows. And this piece had both of them. And it had, the crystals were nice, undamaged. It'll display nicely, something like this. I'm thinking I'll display it like this in the case. And it was just a good price. I'm quite happy with this pickup. Once I move downstairs and I get a couple more display cases, this is definitely going to be one of the pieces going in there. And it's a great example of Nova Scotia chabasite. And for those who don't know, chabasite is a type of zeolite, and kind of the East Coast has a heck of a lot of zeolites. So those interested in zeolites, and maybe if you're interested in doing a mineral collecting trip to Canada, maybe the East Coast is the place for you. Though I definitely would recommend going in the summertime, because the weather, even in the summertime, the weather can be a bit unruly, but at least it'll be a bit warmer. Next, we have this lovely quartz crystal it's got some interesting little clay mineral inclusions on like the faces. This comes from the Highway 400 road cut in the Georgian Bay area. This is a road cut you can't collect that anymore. It's illegal to collect that, which is a shame. I definitely would have wanted to go there. But this locale was known for having some interesting kind of quartz points with some clay inclusions and some interesting shapes and stuff. And this was one of them. It's even got some, you can see it's even got some a pocket of iridescence right there. But it had a unique shape, and I'm a sucker for the weird and wonky shapes, so I thought I'd go with this guy. I needed a decent specimen for my display case. I don't have one from that locale, so I thought I'd pick that one up. And for that seller's info, here is his info for those interested in maybe buying from him. Ground Star Minerals, Rob Cook. So if you're interested in buying, check them out. Next, I'll do these thumbnails back here. The guy who sells these thumbnails, he's always one of those guys who he mainly focuses on selling thumbnails, and the thumbnails that he sells are quite top notch, in my opinion. I always enjoy looking at them, and so I'll show you some of them. I picked up this azurite specimen from Utah. It's 3 azurite spheres kind of that have grown together, and I just like the look of them, and I find it quite aesthetic and pleasing to the eye, so I thought I'd pick up an azurite specimen like that. Next, we have this green English fluorite. It's a nice little cluster of 2 fluorite crystals. It's from the Diana Maria mine in the Rocherley quarry in, Stanhope County in England. It's a nice little fluorite. I'm a sucker for fluorites. For those who don't know, if people have asked me before, I think honestly my 2 favorite minerals are fluorite and garnet, just due to the amount of color variation and even crystal shape. Even though garnet is a little maybe more uniform with its crystal shape, they can get some very interesting, like, wonky stuff. And so those are like what I would say are my two favorite minerals. Speaking of which, we got this nice grossular garnet from Chihuahua, Mexico. It's got great faces on it, well formed, slightly kind of like it's more yellow in person, but in the camera there's some pink hues that is picking up, but I don't know if that's just the camera. Next, we have something I've been wanting to get my hands on, and I finally got my hands on. It's a very nice thumbnail specimen of prehnite from the Jeffrey Quarry in Asbestos, Quebec. This locale is kind of known for having some of the best prehnite specimens in the world. At least I've heard some collectors say that online. And it is a quite nice thumbnail specimen of prehnite. I was quite happy with the price that I paid for it. It was a great deal. To end off, I've got another garnet specimen. This is a grossular garnet from the Jeffrey mine. This one is special because it kind of looks very lumpy, but if you can see as I angle it, it's kind of like a very skeletal kind of etched grossular garnet, and I'm a sucker for those. And I saw this guy and the price was really good on him, so I got that guy like right away. And you can just see that grossular kind of the many faces on this garnet. It is because it looks super lumpy, as you can see. But then in the right light, you see all those like steps and those faces, and it's just, at least in my opinion, very cool. I love that funkiness. So this was a must-have for me. Here is the information for the guy. Here is the seller's information for all the thumbnail specimens I just showed you. If you're interested in getting in contact with him, I believe he does also have an Instagram, so do check him out. He sells some pretty interesting material. So if you're a person in Ontario looking to get maybe some thumbnails, maybe you can get in contact with him. Last, but definitely not least, I have this awesome specimen of fluorite from Cave in Rock, Illinois. I've been wanting to get an Illinois fluorite in my collection for the longest time, and I saw this guy and had some lovely stepped crystals, and you can actually see, you can see that little guy on there. See that little guy? That was a funky little guy. I thought that was pretty cool. And this was just, it was a good price. He even gave me a little off of the price he was originally asking, which I thought was very nice of him. And it's definitely going to be a nice centerpiece to my collection now. I haven't scratched the itch. I know I'm going to buy more Cave and Rock specimens when I get the chance to get a good deal on one. I definitely won't. I will be jumping on it right away. But I'm glad to finally have a lovely fluorite specimen from Cave and Rock in my collection. And for those interested in the seller's information, here's his information for those interested in getting in contact with him, maybe to buy some stuff. He had some pretty unique material, definitely some high quality, good material, and from some places that you probably wouldn't be able to collect ever at in Canada, and then also some other foreign minerals. But here's his information for those interested in getting in contact with him. We have gotten to the end of the video. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, thank you for watching this far. Please do, in the description, let me know what was the favorite piece that I showed you guys that I bought. Please also like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help support me, and it allows me to reach more people and grow this awesome community I'm a part of. Thank you guys for watching so much, and please have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.